While tensions can run high between Russia and China, they've actually never fought a full-scale war against each other. Their longest conflict lasted just over a month in 1969 over a disputed border territory. This might be surprising considering their long history and occasional clashes. However, it highlights the importance of diplomacy and historical context when discussing the potential for war. And today we're diving deep into a scenario that could rewrite the course of history. A war between these two nuclear giants wouldn't just devastate entire regions, it would cripple the entire planet. So buckle up, because we're about to explore the terrifying possibilities of a war between Russia and China. Now let's get to know the players on this potential chessboard of conflict. First up, we have the Bear of the North, Russia. Russia boasts the world's largest nuclear arsenal, a terrifying ace up their sleeve. They also excel in cyber warfare, capable of disrupting critical infrastructure and sowing chaos in enemy networks. Additionally, their special forces are renowned for their ruthlessness and elite training. This combination of nuclear power, cyber capabilities, and highly skilled special forces makes Russia a formidable adversary on multiple fronts. Their ability to influence and destabilize through both conventional and unconventional means underscores the complexity and danger they pose in any potential conflict, making them a critical player in global security dynamics. However, Russia's military isn't without its cracks. Much of their equipment is aging Soviet-era hardware, struggling to keep pace with modern technology. Economic sanctions have also hampered their ability to modernize and maintain their forces. Additionally, simmering discontent within Russia raises questions about troop morale and national unity in a prolonged conflict. On the other side of the board stands the rising dragon, China. China's military has undergone a dramatic transformation in recent years. Their missile technology is rapidly advancing, posing a significant threat to regional adversaries. Additionally, they are building a formidable navy, challenging established maritime powers. Furthermore, China has a vast pool of manpower, a seemingly endless resource for a large-scale war. This combination of advanced technology, growing naval power, and abundant manpower makes China a formidable opponent, reshaping the balance of power and influencing strategic calculations on the global stage. But China isn't without its vulnerabilities. Despite their technological strides, their military lacks real-world combat experience. Projecting power and coordinating complex logistics across vast distances could prove a major hurdle. China also relies heavily on imported resources, which could be disrupted by a conflict, putting a strain on their war machine. The potential battlefields for a Sino-Russian conflict are numerous, each with its own explosive potential. One major flashpoint is the Amur River border, a historical point of contention. A misunderstanding or escalation here could quickly spiral into a full-blown border war. Another potential tinderbox is Central Asia. This resource-rich region is increasingly caught in the crosshairs of China's Belt and Road Initiative and Russia's traditional sphere of influence. Competition for resources and political maneuvering could easily ignite a proxy war. The Arctic, with its melting ice caps and untapped resources, is another potential battleground as both nations scramble to stake their claims. But a war between these giants wouldn't be confined to land. Modern warfare involves a multi-dimensional battlefield. We can expect intense aerial combat with advanced fighter jets and drones battling for air superiority. At sea, massive warships could clash in a struggle for dominance over crucial trade routes. And lurking beneath the surface, cyber warfare would be a critical front, with each nation attempting to cripple the other's infrastructure and communication networks. The involvement of other countries would further complicate this already volatile situation. Russia has a strong military alliance with former Soviet states, while China has been building relationships with countries across Asia and Africa. Some nations might choose neutrality, fearing entanglement in a devastating conflict. However, others might be drawn in, either to support their allies or to exploit the chaos for their own gain. The exact course of a Sino-Russian war would depend heavily on the type of conflict that unfolds. A full-scale war, with both nations throwing their full military might at each other, would be a terrifying prospect. Imagine vast tank battles across the Eurasian plains, dogfights between advanced fighter jets, and devastating missile strikes crippling cities. Modern weaponry would undoubtedly play a major role. Drones, acting as both scouts and airborne assassins, could wreak havoc on enemy positions. Hypersonic missiles, with their incredible speed and maneuverability, could bypass traditional defenses and inflict catastrophic damage. The potential for civilian casualties and widespread destruction in such a conflict is truly horrifying. However, a full-scale war might not be the most likely scenario. A more probable outcome could be a series of regional conflicts triggered by border disputes or competition for resources. These smaller wars could still be devastating for the involved regions, but the risk of escalation to a global conflict might be lower. The specter of nuclear weapons looms ominously over any potential conflict. Both Russia and China possess massive nuclear arsenals, and the desperation of a losing side could lead to unthinkable consequences. Even a limited nuclear exchange could trigger a catastrophic ripple effect, plunging the world into a nuclear winter and causing a global humanitarian crisis. The mere possibility of such an event underscores the importance of diplomatic efforts and conflict resolution to prevent an escalation that could have devastating impacts on humanity and the planet. The stakes have never been higher in maintaining peace and stability. The possibility of escalation, the ever-present threat of nuclear weapons, these are the chilling realities we must confront when considering a war between these two nuclear giants. A war between Russia and China wouldn't just devastate the immediate battlefield. The human cost would be staggering. Millions of lives could be lost, both soldiers and civilians caught in the crossfire. Cities would be reduced to rubble, leaving countless people displaced and homeless. The economic consequences would be equally disastrous. Trade routes would be disrupted, global markets would collapse, and the world economy would spiral into a deep depression. Food security would also be a major concern. Both Russia and China are major agricultural producers, and a prolonged conflict would disrupt global food supplies, leading to widespread hunger and malnutrition. The environmental damage would be immense. Military operations often lead to oil spills, chemical contamination, and widespread destruction of natural habitats. The long-term effects on the environment and ecosystems could be catastrophic, but the fallout wouldn't stop at regional borders. The entire world would feel the tremors of this conflict. Energy supplies would be disrupted as oil and gas production is impacted. Cyber warfare could cripple critical infrastructure in nations far removed from the battlefield. The international political landscape would be irrevocably altered, creating new power vacuums and fueling regional instability. However, amidst this bleak scenario, a glimmer of hope remains. The sheer destructiveness of a full-scale war could force both sides to the negotiating table. International pressure and diplomatic efforts might create a window for de-escalation and peace talks. The consequences of inaction would simply be too devastating for all involved. The possibility of a war between Russia and China is a chilling reality. It's a conflict with the potential to devastate not just these two nations, but the entire world. Millions of lives hang in the balance, entire economies could crumble, and the environment could suffer irreversible damage. The escalation to nuclear weapons remains a horrifying possibility. It's crucial to remember that this isn't a preordained future. There's still time for diplomacy to prevail, for a reason to win over aggression. This is why it's so important to stay informed, to seek out reliable sources of information, and to engage in constructive dialogue. Let's not become passive bystanders in this potential tragedy. Let's demand peace. Let's advocate for peaceful solutions, and let's hold our leaders accountable for their actions. The future's not set in stone. Together, we can choose a path of peace and ensure that this horrifying scenario never becomes a nightmarish reality.